Welcome to the Family Banking Blueprint. Faith, family, and financial freedom.
Welcome to the Family Banking Blueprint podcast. This show is for women who put family first, value their faith, and work hard, yet they were never shown how to multiply their money without sacrificing their lives. This isn't about the hustle or the get rich quick. It's about opportunity, decisions, and building a family bank that buys you time, flexibility, options, and family adventures. Here we talk about real estate, passive income, and the beliefs that come even before the first investment. Let's talk about what that looks like. Welcome back, friends, to the Family Banking Blueprint podcast. Hey, that's getting easier the more I say it. Oh man, starting anything new is a challenge, right? Like putting yourself out there, making yourself uncomfortable, and doing the thing regardless of how you feel about doing it at the moment. That's what I hope I'm modeling for you. Do hard things, the things that make you uncomfortable, do them regularly, and prove to yourself that you can. But that's not what we're talking about today. Actually, I was teaching a class yesterday, and a lot of times I'm sharing with people on how to build businesses. And yesterday was one of those. I was talking to and teaching real estate agents how to build stronger real estate businesses. And I anticipated the people in the room being newer agents who needed that kind of support. But the truth is, the people who showed up in the room were people who'd been in the business for 20 years, 15 years, for a long time. And on this podcast, because we talk about faith and we talk about family and we talk about financial freedom and all of that, your business is your ministry, right? So all of that goes together. It's not separate from one another. And I think sometimes in business, we separate it out. And the truth is, as I was teaching this class and as I came there with the intention to teach them specific strategy, I noticed everything that we were talking about all fell back to the word relationships. And that really business and life is all about connection and relationships, and really nothing more than that. The quality of your relationships determines your success, determines your fulfillment and your happiness. It determines so many things. And you all have heard You've all heard the saying that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I always wonder, I'm super intentional about relationships. I love people. I love great relationships. There's nothing more rewarding in life than just good relationships. And so I intentionally go seek people out and look for great humans to know. And I don't know, maybe I'm weird and maybe other people don't do that. I don't know. I legitimately do that daily. But I also think that that's what has contributed to my success, to my ability to build wealth, to just so many things in life, to security, to a calmness, to an ability to just walk through hard things. Often the foundation of that is the relationships that I've built, right? So if you think about that, if you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, that can be scary. And we've said that before, actually. And there was a time in life when I would tell you that the 5 people I was spending the most time with were not going to get me to where I needed to be. They were not going to create and help me to improve my person to become the person that I needed to be. And so I had to intentionally shift those relationships. And in order to shift those relationships, people that are doing great, people who are being their best self, they're protective of their energy. They're protective of their time. You have to become better in order to be welcomed into their space, because they're super protective of their environment, which is so smart. And when we think about ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, are we protecting our environment? And who are the people that we spend the most time with? And so as this conversation went on yesterday when I was teaching these agents, no matter what tool I talked about, no matter what strategy I talked about, it all came back to adding and nurturing relationships, to the point where I think that they were just like, okay, we get it. But I started thinking about that, and I was reflecting on that. And I was reflecting on, like, wealth is not just money, but wealth is the quality of your relationships, the quality of your life in general, which often is determined by the quality of your relationships. And so as you look around yourself, ask yourself, are the people around you that you spend the most time with, are they leveling you up? Are they making you better? Have they been where you want to go? Are they going to be able to lead you down the path that you've never walked before? Or do you need to start thinking about shifting relationships? The first time that somebody told me that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, including their net worth, I was like, oh, that was hard, because I'm an adopter of puppies. I love all people.
If today's episode helped you to think differently about money, read the Family Banking Blueprint. It'll walk you through the exact framework that we use to build your family's wealth. And remember, faith first, family always, and don't forget to get some assets.
A lot of times I'm spending my time in rooms with people who I'm probably helping and lifting up, and I'm learning from them along the way, like with all humility. But at the same time, they're not necessarily ahead of where I've been. I'm not learning from them or growing from them. And so I had to also take notice of, do I have enough of those people ahead of me, enough of those people challenging me to be better, enough of those people with a higher net worth than mine that I'm constantly challenged to grow? If you ask yourself that and you think about that at the moment, what comes to mind? Where do you need to add people? Who's maybe some people that are time suckers and not necessarily contributing to your well-being? I saw a post yesterday on social media that said if we had $1 per hour wage and we charged all the time suckers that $1 per hour wage, like we'd be super rich. And I think about that and I'm like, oh yeah, like how can we be better at protecting that environment, right? And protecting and making sure that those 5 people that we spend the most time with, that we absorb their knowledge, absorb their character, just do we have a good 5 people? Have we chosen well? And also, realizing that relationships provide mentorship. They provide a map. People who've been there before you can tell you what it's about to feel like, how it's about to go, not to be scared that they did this before and this was next. I think about a relationship that came up into my life. God just does cool things with people. And my dad had a horrible head injury that was really a hard path to walk. And it was super hard. But, you go through your hard so that you can be there for other people in their hard. And so a really fantastic, wonderful woman that I had heard of but didn't know was going through something similar just a few months after. And also a girlfriend of mine who I love dearly, a brother had been in an accident where he had fallen down the stairs and had a bad head injury. And my friend Carrie, her son, had been in a car accident. And at the time, I didn't even know Carrie. I had just heard of her in similar circles. I knew she was a great human who had worked hard to do her best and to just be an amazing leader. And I had just been through something hard that she hadn't been through yet. And so I, didn't know how it would be received, but I reached out just out of love and just said, hey, I just walked through this a few months ago. Can I help you and tell you what it's going to feel like? And so why I say that is sometimes we put people on pedestals and there will be seasons where we're ahead of them in different journeys. And that's what friends are for. And that's what relationships are for, is that sometimes you're the leader, sometimes you're the one being led, right? And so in this particular instance, I had just walked through this really hard thing and I was able to kind of calm some of her stresses in telling her, I know what it looks like now, but here's what it's going to look like in a couple of weeks and it's going to get better. And it's been such a fun journey to watch both my dad and her son get better, as well as my friend Debbie's brother. But God puts those relationships in your life so that they can mentor you, so that they can show you a path. And they're usually not super far ahead of you. They're a couple of steps ahead of you. And those are the ones that are going to land with you the most, that you're going to be able to see yourself getting there because they're not so far ahead that it doesn't seem possible. But relationships are so important. And all of this does circle back to quality of life and wealth building, because if you've never been somewhere before, if you want to build a big business and you've never been there before and you don't know what to expect, you don't know what kind of obstacles you're going to run into, you need somebody who's been there before you. If you want to build wealth and you want to invest and you've never done it before, you need somebody who's been there and done it before you. If you want to take care of rental properties, but you've never had tenants before, it's wise for you to have had a relationship with somebody who's been there and can lead you and say, don't worry, it's not as bad as it feels at the moment. It will get better, and kind of walk with you through that. And also, when there's people ahead of you, they lift you up and they require you to be your best. They, like I said, they protect that environment and they refuse to allow crabs in the bucket to drain their energy and to take from them. And in order to walk with them, they expect you to walk on a level playing field and come along with them. And when you're down, they'll pick you up. And when they're down, you pick them up. But those circles, those protected circles of relationships, are not open for victimhood and woe is me and I need you to save me. I want you to fix it for me. And so we just have to ask ourselves, who are we being and what friends are we keeping? So think about that. What mentors do you have in your life? Who's there to show you the roadmap to get where you want to go, that you've maybe never, the path you've never traveled, and help you become the person that you want to become? Oftentimes that starts with you visualizing in your best life, who are you? What are you acting like? What is your character? What do you do with your days? And who do you know that's like that you can learn from and grow with? Like, relationships are everything because it's hard to become more solo. You have to do it with others. Relationships, they open doors, right? They open doors. They create opportunities. They create jobs. They invite you to networks of people that are like-minded. They show up and sometimes can offer financing and help you to even do business startups or funding projects or investing together. Relationships introduce you to other relationships that are highly valuable to your world. I think to some, just as I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking to some key relationships that were so unsuspected. I shared with you, we had a friend with a Zillow lead, another real estate agent that had a Zillow lead, and he had a client who wanted some flooring done in his house. And my husband went and did this flooring in this house and got to meet with these people. And they ended up being such a special, important relationship in our lives that was so unsuspected. And they were just looking for good people that they could lead. And my husband is a good human. And they said, hey, you're building houses, you're doing these things, let us help you. And they funded our startup business. If they hadn't stepped in, and we didn't even know them, if they hadn't have stepped in and offered the support that they offered, I don't know that we would even have the business we wouldn't have the business or the life that we have today, all because of one single relationship. Wasn't an old friend, wasn't somebody who'd known us forever. It was literally a brand new relationship that was initially introduced to us by like Zillow and leads. And it turned into a life-changing relationship, not in years, in moments. I can't tell you how important relationships are. I think of another relationship with a mentor that walked me through just starting a real estate business and all of the chaos and just being young and not knowing how to handle life. And just a friend that initially was a teacher of a class and just stuck through it with me and walked with me and helped me grow up, right? Helped me grow up, and then eventually became a business partner in investing and built a bunch of homes with me, and still is such a good friend now in leading and teaching. And all because I said hello and spoke to a teacher and built a relationship and nurtured that relationship with a teacher. And again, another life-changing relationship. I have a current business partner that people used to call me crazy all the time. I relentlessly pursued this relationship. It started out as a DM on Twitter when Twitter was like nothing and nobody was really doing much with it. And I sent a DM to somebody and I said, hey, I want to know you. And, I'd heard great things around our circle of friends. I knew they were doing massive things. I'm really stubborn. And one of our friends had said, that person will never even know you. You're just a small name in this world. This person is like a celebrity in our world, and tell me I can't, and we're going to go get it. Right. So I relentlessly, like obnoxiously pursued this relationship because I knew that this was a good human. Other people spoke about him with so many good words, and I knew that I had things that I needed to learn from him. And he didn't know who I was. He probably thought I was absolutely nuts. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure for the first 8 years, he thought I was nuts. But I sincerely was like this cheerleader for the type of human and the type of character and the way that he led and the way that he loved people, but also didn't enable them with his love. He held them accountable with his love and encouraged them with his love, but he didn't do things for them. He taught them how to do things themselves. Super, super important relationship in my life. I'm now laughing at myself because as I'm telling these stories, more keep coming up. That turned into a relationship that is a current business partnership now in a pre-IPO company that is on pace to do just incredible things and disrupt the entire real estate industry across this country. All because it started with knock, knock on his Twitter account. I need to know you. Have you ever had that kind of courage to pursue a relationship like that? Even when there was no response, and even when you were getting no validation, and even when, have you ever pursued a relationship so much that eventually it just came to be because you didn't give up? I giggle about that's how I met my husband, as a matter of fact. And we are on like 26 years since we started dating, 27 years. And it all started with somebody telling me about this amazing human I needed to know. And so I was like, first starts with curiosity. I wonder what I need to know about them. So I went and I did some research and I'm like, this person is kind of a great person. Maybe I should know them. I'll never forget sneaking into his work to go see who he is. And right, we're teenage girls. So of course, this is fun for us. And my mom's like, oh my God, you're going to embarrass me, because he had come into her work and applied for some insurance, and she met him and drilled him and was like, you need to know this guy. So of course I went on this hunt. I never knew that 26 years later, this relationship would give me 2 beautiful children, an amazing life, and he is just a goofball and a joy to do life with. But I went after and pursued the relationship. So relationships open doors. They create opportunities. Oftentimes they open doors for jobs or new networks of people, or help you with financing and you help them. It's a win-win relationship. When it is a win-win relationship, it's unstoppable and it's life-changing. Hard goals. I'm looking at my notes and I'm thinking to myself, all right, hard goals are better together. So as you're thinking about relationships and which ones you have and which ones you're missing, if your goal, my business partner, I remember when his goal was to create 10 millionaires. That's a pretty big goal. Most people are trying to create a millionaire out of themselves, right? One person, let alone his goal was to create 10 of them. And now his goal far exceeds that. But that would have been hard alone. And so together, as you share your goals, as you can share your goals amongst people, then you can find the people who can best support those goals and you can support those. And all of a sudden you start growing and winning together. That's when it's fun. And it's easier when it's hard, when you've got a partner in the deal. So just remember that those relationships that you're intentionally adding turn into partnerships in many ways. And that those are what make life easier when it gets hard. They just are much more fun to win with. And then lastly, I would say something that I've been very intentional about over life is just adding them and nurturing them all the time, every single day. I have relentlessly, I'm going to use that word a lot of times during this podcast, but I have relentlessly daily looked for people who are interesting to me, looked for people who have something incredible that they're the value that they're adding to this world. And I have relentlessly daily found them, added them to ways that I can contact them, nurtured those relationships with them, learned more about them, learned how I can add value to their lives. And literally and relentlessly every single day, I look for those people so that I'm surrounded by them, so that I can learn from them, so that I can grow from them, so that I can network with them and learn about their friends, because they probably hang out with incredible people. And as I look back, I didn't realize the importance of adding relationships daily and truly, truly caring about people and looking for ways to support them. But when you do that, you can't do it for everybody. It's not a massive numbers game, but you have to meet 100 people to find one that's exceptional, right? And so it is a numbers game, but that exceptional person is the one that you pour into and that you love on and that you add value in any way that you can to their life and they do yours. There's always going to be a lot of relationships that you have, but to find the core exceptional ones that create the human that you become or help you to become the human you're meant to be, you've got to go through a lot of relationships and a lot of meeting people and a lot of exploring and learning about people. You have to fall in love with people and fall in love with learning about them, because you will bump into and look back and say, there are 5 relationships in this life that absolutely changed everything for me. And I think, especially with COVID and with a lot of isolation and things like that have come about, we are slowing down and need to be more intentional about creating relationships. And so I ask you, and I challenge you, how can you add one new relationship every single day to your life? If you find one new relationship that's a good relationship and you add it to your life every day, you have 365 new relationships at the end of the year. And out of 365, I'll bet there are a few exceptional humans that might change your life in that bucket. So I encourage you to just be intentional about this. Understand that relationships come and go for seasons. God puts people in your life exactly when you need them. And if they're not so involved in your life at a later part, that's okay, because there are seasons in life and you're there for people for seasons based on the experiences that you've had and being able to lead them. And they're going to do the same for you. Life is all about the ebb and flow of relationships and the seasons of relationships that come in and come out of them. But I encourage you to go find yourself the 5 best relationships, so that the average of 5 is pretty incredible, and that you get to truly grow into being an amazing human and your absolute best self. So until next time, go think about getting some assets, because when you have money to steward, you can be a blessing. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, friends, that's it for today. But remember, faith first, family always, and don't forget to get some assets. I'll see you next time.